Hello Chelsea fans. Welcome again to Chelsea HQ View for an amazing blog post about our beloved Chelsea FC. Chelsea makes shock £43 million bid for Liverpool star after Colwill injury blow. Picture this, your best defender goes down with a season-ending injury just weeks before the new campaign starts. What do? If you are Chelsea, you make a bold move that nobody saw coming. The Blues have reportedly thrown their hat into the ring for Liverpool's Ibrahima Konate with a stunning £43 million offer that has sent shockwaves through the football world. This is not just any transfer story. This is about Chelsea making a statement, Liverpool facing a tough decision, and Real Madrid suddenly finding their plans turned upside down. But what makes this move so interesting? And why are fans talking about it everywhere? The story that started it all. Let's start from the beginning. Everything changed when Levi Colwill suffered that terrible ACL injury. One moment he was preparing for what should have been another great season at Stamford Bridge. The next moment, he was facing months on the sidelines and surgery that would keep him out for most of the 2025-26 season. For Chelsea, this was more than just losing a player. Colwill had become one of their most important defenders. He started 35 out of 38 Premier League games last season. That tells you everything about how much manager Enzo Maresca relied on him. When Maresca spoke to reporters after the 2-0 win against Bayer Leverkusen, you could hear the concern in his voice. "It's a priority because Levi is a fantastic player," he said. "What we achieved last season is because of him. He played all the games with me, I love him and we're going to miss him." Those words paint a clear picture. Chelsea knew they had to act fast. But who could they target? The answer came in the form of a French international who has been making waves at Liverpool. Why Ibrahima Konate makes perfect sense. So who is Ibrahima Konate, and why would Chelsea want him so badly? Konate is not just any defender. At 25 years old, he represents everything modern football wants in a centre-back. He's tall, strong, quick, and comfortable with the ball at his feet. Since joining Liverpool from RB Leipzig in 2021, he has shown time and again that he can handle the pressure of big games. Think about Liverpool's recent success. Konate has been a key part of their defensive setup. He's played in Champions League finals, helped them win trophies, and formed strong partnerships with other defenders. This is exactly the kind of experience Chelsea needs. But here's what makes this transfer story even more interesting. Konate is entering the final year of his contract at Liverpool. That means Liverpool face a difficult choice. Do they let him run down his contract and risk losing him for free next summer? Or do they sell him now while they can still get good money? This contract situation is like music to Chelsea's ears. It gives them leverage in negotiations. Liverpool know that if they don't get a deal done soon, they could lose one of their best defenders for nothing. The £43 million question. When news broke that Chelsea had submitted a £43 million bid, many people were surprised. Not because of the amount, but because of the timing and the target. Why would Chelsea go after a Liverpool player? These two clubs don't usually do business with each other. In fact, they're direct rivals fighting for the same prizes every season. Liverpool selling to Chelsea would be like giving ammunition to their enemies. But money talks in football, and £43 million is serious money. According to reports, this is exactly the amount Liverpool have been asking for. Chelsea didn't try to lowball or start negotiations with a smaller offer. They went straight in with what Liverpool wanted. This shows two things. First, Chelsea are serious about getting this deal done. Second, they understand that time is running out. The transfer window won't stay open forever, and they need defensive cover before the season gets into full swing. What makes this bid even more shocking is that it came out of nowhere. Most Chelsea fans were expecting the club to look at different targets. Konate was linked more with other clubs, especially Real Madrid. Nobody saw Chelsea making such a direct move. Real Madrid's headache. Speaking of Real Madrid, this Chelsea bid has created a massive problem for the Spanish giants. They had been quietly working on a deal for Konate, believing they had a clear path to sign him. Real Madrid's interest in Konate makes perfect sense. They're always looking for the best young talent, and Konate fits their profile perfectly. He's proven himself in the Premier League and Champions League. He's at the right age where he could give them many good years. Most importantly, he would be available for a reasonable price given his contract situation. But Chelsea's bid changes everything. Suddenly, Real Madrid find themselves in a bidding war they weren't expecting. They thought they could take their time and negotiate slowly with Liverpool. Now they might have to match Chelsea's offer or risk losing out completely. This is what we call an unexpected complication in transfer terms. Real Madrid prefer to be in control of their transfer dealings. They like to plan everything carefully and avoid getting into expensive bidding wars. But Chelsea's aggressive approach has forced their hand. The question now is simple. Will Real Madrid increase their offer to compete with Chelsea? Or will they decide that £43 million is too much for a player they can potentially sign for free next summer? Liverpool's impossible choice. For Liverpool, this situation creates a real headache. On one hand, they don't want to lose Konate at all. He's been excellent for them and fits perfectly into their system. Selling him would weaken their squad and help a direct rival at the same time. On the other hand, they are facing some hard realities. Konate hasn't signed a new contract yet, despite months of talks. If those discussions continue to stall, they risk losing him for nothing next summer. At least selling him now would bring in good money they could use to buy a replacement. There's also the question of what Konate himself wants. Reports suggest he's leaning toward a move to Real Madrid if they can match Liverpool's asking price. This puts Liverpool in an even tougher spot. If their player wants to leave, keeping him might not be the best solution for anyone. Liverpool fans are probably hoping the club can convince Konate to stay and sign a new deal. But if that's not possible, selling to Real Madrid would be much easier to accept than selling to Chelsea. At least Real Madrid aren't fighting for Premier League positions every week. The timing adds another layer of complexity. We're getting close to the start of the new season, and Liverpool need time to find and sign a replacement if they do sell Konate. They can't afford to be left short in defense, especially with their own injury concerns. Chelsea's defensive crisis. To understand why Chelsea are willing to take such risks, you need to look at their defensive situation. It's not pretty. Levi Colwill's injury is the biggest blow. As we mentioned, he was incredibly important last season, playing almost every game. Losing him for most of the upcoming season is like losing your most reliable friend when you need them most. But Colwill isn't the only defensive player Chelsea are worried about. Badiashile is also currently injured, though his problem isn't as serious or long-lasting as Colwill's. Still, it means another defender is unavailable when the team needs all hands on deck. Trevoh Chalobah will be available for the opening game against Crystal Palace, despite picking up an ankle injury against AC Milan. That's good news, but one fit defender isn't enough to solve Chelsea's problems. Wesley Fofana is another interesting case. He's back to full fitness after his own injury problems, but he missed the final 2 months of last season with a hamstring injury. Manager Maresca is unlikely to throw him straight into the starting lineup until he's completely sure Fofana can handle the workload. When you add it all up, Chelsea are facing a genuine defensive crisis. They need someone who can step in immediately and perform at the highest level. They can't afford to take chances with unproven players or hope that their injured defenders come back quickly. This is why Konate makes so much sense for them. He's proven, experienced, and available. He wouldn't need time to adapt to Premier League football because he's already been doing it successfully for years at Liverpool. What makes this transfer so complicated? Most transfers follow a predictable pattern. A club identifies a target, makes an offer, negotiates with the selling club, and either completes the deal or moves on to other options. But this Konate situation is different because of all the moving parts involved. First, you have Chelsea's urgent need for defensive help. They can't wait around hoping for better options to become available. They need someone now, and they are willing to pay premium prices to get their man. Second, you have Liverpool's reluctance to strengthen a direct rival. Selling players to other Premier League clubs is always tricky, but selling to a team you're competing against for top 4 positions makes it even worse. Third, you have Real Madrid's involvement, which adds international interest and drives up the price. Liverpool might prefer selling to Real Madrid, but they also know that competing offers usually mean more money for them. Fourth, you have Konate's own preferences to consider. If he really wants to join Real Madrid, convincing him to choose Chelsea might be difficult, even if they offer more money. Finally, you have the ticking clock of the transfer window. Every day that passes makes it harder for all parties to find solutions. Liverpool need time to find replacements. Chelsea need time to integrate new players. Real Madrid need time to prepare alternative targets if they lose out. The fan reaction. As you might expect, fans of all 3 clubs have strong opinions about this potential transfer. Chelsea fans are largely excited about the possibility of signing Konate. They've seen how good he can be in Liverpool's shirt, and they know he would immediately improve their defensive options. Many are impressed that their club is being so aggressive in the transfer market, especially after the disappointment of Colwill's injury. Some Chelsea supporters are also enjoying the idea of taking a key player away from a direct rival. There's always satisfaction in weakening your competitors while strengthening your own team. Liverpool fans, as you'd expect, are not happy about the possibility of losing Konate to Chelsea. Many are frustrated that the contract negotiations have dragged on for so long without resolution. Others are angry at the thought of helping Chelsea solve their defensive problems. Some Liverpool supporters are taking a more pragmatic view. If Konate won't sign a new contract, they'd rather get good money for him now than lose him for free later. But they'd strongly prefer selling him to Real Madrid rather than Chelsea. Real Madrid fans are probably the most frustrated group in all of this. They thought they had a clear path to signing a quality defender for a reasonable price. Now they are facing competition they didn't expect and might have to pay more than they planned. What this means for the Premier League. If Chelsea succeed in signing Konate, it would send interesting messages about the current state of the Premier League transfer market. First, it would show that clubs are willing to do business with direct rivals if the price is right. This hasn't always been the case, especially between big clubs competing for similar objectives. Second, it would demonstrate how quickly things can change in football. A few weeks ago, nobody was talking about Konate leaving Liverpool. One serious injury to Colwill, and suddenly he's the most talked about defender in the transfer market. Third, it would highlight the importance of contract management. Liverpool's failure to get Konate signed to a new deal earlier has put them in this difficult position. Other clubs will be watching and learning from this situation. The transfer would also have immediate implications for both Chelsea and Liverpool's seasons. Chelsea would get a proven defender who could help them challenge for top 4 positions. Liverpool would lose defensive depth and potentially hand an advantage to a direct competitor. For neutral observers, it would make the Premier League even more competitive and unpredictable. Player movements between big clubs always add extra spice to future meetings between those teams. Looking at the bigger picture. This potential transfer is about more than just one player moving from one club to another. It represents several important trends in modern football. The first trend is the increasing importance of defensive stability. Chelsea's willingness to spend £43 million on a centre-back shows how much clubs value defenders who can perform consistently at the highest level. The second trend is the power of contract situations. Konate's expiring deal has created opportunities for other clubs and put pressure on Liverpool. This is happening more and more often as players and agents become smarter about using contracts as leverage. The third trend is the speed of modern transfer business. When Chelsea identified their need for a defender, they moved quickly with a serious offer. There's no time for lengthy negotiations when the season is approaching fast. The fourth trend is the global nature of the transfer market. This story involves clubs from England and Spain, media from multiple countries, and fans around the world. Modern transfers are international news events, not just local stories. What happens next? So where do we go from here? Several scenarios are possible, and each would have different implications for all parties involved. Scenario 1, Chelsea get their man. Liverpool accept the £43 million offer, Konate chooses Chelsea over Real Madrid, and the transfer goes through. This would be a major coup for Chelsea and a significant blow to Liverpool's defensive plans. Scenario 2, Real Madrid fight back. The Spanish giants match or exceed Chelsea's offer, Konate chooses his preferred destination, and Liverpool get their asking price. This would leave Chelsea back at square one in their search for defensive cover. Scenario 3, Liverpool keep Konate. The French defender agrees to a new contract, Chelsea are forced to look elsewhere, and Real Madrid miss out on their target. This would be the best outcome for Liverpool but would still leave Chelsea with their defensive crisis. Scenario 4, nobody gets what they want. Konate refuses all moves, Liverpool are stuck with an unhappy player entering his final contract year, Chelsea don't solve their defensive problems, and Real Madrid have to find other targets. The most likely scenario probably involves money talking. If Chelsea really are willing to offer what Liverpool want, and if they can convince Konate that Stamford Bridge is the right place for his career, this transfer could happen quickly. But football transfers are never simple, and this one has more complications than most. The next few weeks will be fascinating to watch as all parties try to get the best possible outcome for themselves. Final thoughts. What started as a typical injury setback for Chelsea has turned into one of the most interesting transfer stories of the summer. Levi Colwill's ACL injury created a problem that needed solving, and Chelsea's solution was to target one of the Premier League's best defenders. Whether they succeed in signing Ibrahima Konate remains to be seen. But their bold approach shows they are not willing to accept defensive weaknesses that could cost them points during the season. For Liverpool, this situation highlights the risks of letting contract negotiations drag on too long. They now face losing a key player to a direct rival or keeping an unhappy defender who might leave for free next summer. For Real Madrid, This is a reminder that transfer plans can change quickly. They thought they had a clear path to their target, but Chelsea's intervention has complicated everything. For fans of all three clubs, this story provides drama, excitement, and uncertainty. It's exactly the kind of transfer saga that makes summer windows so compelling to follow. The football world will be watching closely to see how this situation develops. Will Chelsea pull off a shocking transfer coup? Will Liverpool find a way to keep their defender? Will Real Madrid fight back with a bigger offer? Or will something completely unexpected happen? One thing is certain, this story is far from over, and the next chapter could be written at any moment. Keep watching this space, because in the world of football transfers, anything can happen.